I coached basketball for a couple decades, and there was one thing I noticed in basketball that also I think applies to you in your life. And that was, there was two types of basketball players. There was one group of people that were seekers. They would seek physical contact. They would set screens. They'd block out. They'd get rebounds. They'd go for the ball. And then there was another group that were avoiders. They would avoid the basketball in terms of if they had to really bang into someone and they had to block someone out. If they'd go for a rebound, they'd go like this, but not really get down and push someone out with their bottom. And what I noticed is that this didn't just happen in basketball. This also happened in real life, where there was people who would seek things, they would seek them out, and then other people who would avoid things. And I realized that was one of the keys to success in life, because seekers seek things out. They go for it. They don't necessarily know how it's going to turn out. They don't have everything figured out, but they're going for it. They're seeking it. Whereas avoiders resist this. They try to be there but not go all in. And also is that 91% of people admit to avoiding a difficult conversation or situation. So there's a lot of avoiders in us. There's a lot of things we're avoiding. That's like 91% of us are avoiding a difficult conversation or a situation. So 9 out of 10 of us are doing that. We're avoiding things. Just imagine how different your life could be if you could break past that, if you could get past that, and you could actually have the seeker mentality where you're going for it and you're making the progress rather than resisting. I've come to believe this is like one of the key distinctions on why some people succeed and why some don't. Now in basketball, like I've talked about, people blocking out, being physical or not, avoiding it. And I don't think it's because they're weak or anything like that. I think they just want to avoid pain, right? Your body gets banged up if you're blocking out. If you're diving for a basketball, you get bruises, you get sore. And in real life, what are we doing? We're trying to avoid that too. We're trying to avoid emotional pain. We're trying to avoid pain in our relationships or at work or whatever the situation may arise. So are you seeking it? Are you leaning into it? Or are you avoiding it? Are you moving towards it and getting past it or not? Because if there's like a cloudy day, you could move past the clouds, right? If you're in an airplane, you can fly above them, or you could stay in the rain all day. When I was growing up, there was a basketball player who I really respected, and his name was Maurice Lucas, and he was part of the Portland Trailblazers championship team back in 1977. And in an interview, I remember him saying that when he started the basketball game, what he would do is he would just drive to the basket and try to dunk on his opponent or make a layup. And he was going just a straight line there. He wasn't trying to move around him or anything. And when the reporter would ask him, well, why in the world would you do that? You know, half the time you're getting an offensive foul or whatever. And he said, well, I just want to see, did this other player, did they come out to go all out? Or were they going to kind of lean sideways, let me get past them because they didn't want to take a charge and have me fall on top of them? Now, this wasn't because he was dirty. It was because he was trying to see, like, what were they? Were they a seeker or were they trying to avoid pain? And for us, we can do the same thing. We can look at, where am I avoiding this and where am I leaning into it? The University of Chicago did a study where they found that deliberate discomfort increases your emotional resistance and your goal success by up to 135%. Let me repeat that because that was just astounding when I came across this. Deliberate discomfort increases emotional resistance and goal success by up to 135%. So if you want to achieve more, if you want to do more, if you want to be more and have more, then you have to lean into that discomfort, and you have to be a seeker instead of being an avoider. Now, when we look at this like beyond the basketball court, because we've used examples there, is in your own life. Are you journaling? Are you going to therapy? Are you having a friend challenge you on biases you have or limitations you have? What have you done in your life in the recent past here that says, wow, I've really made a lot of changes. I've really made a lot of growth. I've really made a lot of progress. Because like for myself, this is 2025. When I look at 2030 or 2035, I want to look back on myself and say, wow, I don't even recognize myself all the way. Because I've grown so much, I've changed so much, I've improved so much, I've learned new technologies, learned different things, became a better person. I had more to give to others. I mean, that's really what I want for myself, and that's what I'd love for you too. If you are a seeker, if you want to improve, if you want to grow, if you want to do better, this is one of the ways you can do it. And I know I talk about personalized AI a lot, and that's because for me, it's been one of the biggest breakthroughs in helping me start having these massive shifts and taking things that were taking me years and getting them done in weeks or months instead of this longer timeline. And if you can start doing that, if you can use tools to your advantage and have them help you compress time, then time is one of the most valuable resources we have. So if you can compress time and then have more options available to you, all it does is better your life. Now, Stanford Neuroscience Institute did a study, and what they found is that when you repeatedly avoid things, you start shrinking how much activation you do on your prefrontal cortex here, okay? And instead what happens is when you're avoiding things, the amygdala gets more activated in your brain, and that's where your fear is. So you're shrinking your thinking area, your rational thoughts, when you avoid things, and you're expanding your fear areas when you avoid them. So when you avoid things, you're going to get more and stronger avoidance. And is that really what you want? Do you want your amygdala more activated, where when you have fear in there, activating it, rather than your dreams, your goals, your desires, your solutions? So in this, what I'm really finding is that when I challenge myself, when I have these breakthroughs, it helps me to be more activated so that I'm not like some of the people I run into where they skim books, they avoid things, they're not dealing with the real issues. Like recently, I had an issue where I had to deal with some rodents, and for me, for whatever reason, that was like a big deal. I didn't want to deal with it, okay? But working through that, then it's like, it's not as big of a deal, right? But I could just avoid that. I could just say, you know what? I don't want to deal with that. It's icky, it's yucky. I don't want to deal with it. And then I'm never going to grow beyond that, right? The next time I see a rodent or whatever, I'll be like, I don't want to deal with that, right? But if I have developed the skills, if I've overcame my limitation there, then I'm not going to be stuck anymore. And we all get stuck. Now, the different types of resistance we have can show up in many different ways, and that's why it's personal to you. But if you think you're going to grow without resistance, that's like trying to say, I'm going to get my muscles stronger with my arms stronger here, but I'm not going to lift weights. I'm not going to have any resistance. And when you have a goal, when you have something you want to accomplish, when you want to make progress, resistance and obstacles are just going to show up. It's just how it is. And so you have to be able to grow through that, and you have to be able to seek that and not avoid it. Because if you're trying to build your muscles up and you're avoiding the gym, that's not going to get you bigger and stronger. You have to seek that out. And it's not about how intelligent you are. It's not about how talented you are. it boils down to one thing. How willing are you? Are you willing to be a seeker? Did you know that 85% of people that use AI only use it at the surface level? And what I found in the research is that when you personalize and customize AI, and you're in that top 10% of people who are really using it, they're leaning into this, they're seeking more knowledge, they're taking a new technology to new levels, and they're not making it complicated or techie, they're just, how can I apply this and use it? What they're finding is that these top 10%, they're getting 3 times faster learning. So they're learning 3 times faster than the other people that aren't doing this. And they're getting 4 times deeper insights. And the deeper your insights go, the more progress you can make. Like, I get breakthroughs all the time because it's telling me things, it's showing me patterns that are saying, hey, you have some issues here, you have some recurring themes, some things going on here. Are you aware of that? You want to work on that. It's showing me things that I frankly would not see unless it was seeing these patterns. But that is something that a lot of people avoid. They're an avoider on this. It's new technology. I don't want to do that. It's icky. I'm fine how I am, right? Or are you one of those rare people, those seekers, that you seek this out? You seek out a new challenge. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter anything. You're just like, you know what? I'm going to lean into this. I don't know a lot about it, but I trust Bryan, and I'm going to lean into this. Or I trust myself, or other people. And that is the choice you have. You have the choice to do that. Because most of us are using AI like a productivity tool, like an advanced Google search. And if you really want to have the breakthroughs, it's got to know your fears, your goals, your patterns. And once it knows that, it can help you. But so many of us are avoiding it. We're just avoiders. We don't want to know those deeper insights. We don't want to know those deeper truths. We have reasons like, oh, I'm not into technology. Well, I can tell you this is just you interacting with it, and the way it keeps advancing, you can do it all audio, okay? You can get all kinds of breakthroughs just having audio conversations with it. But an avoider is going to come up with reasons, excuses, rationalizations why they can't do it. Like when I coach basketball, people would tell me, oh, I just can't get there. I'm just not fast enough, or I'm not big enough, or I can't get that rebound. I'm going up against this big player. They're just too big, coach. Okay? And then someone else, they would have a heart of a lion. They'd get in there and they'd block the person out, even if it looked like they were leaning all the way over them, right? As they're blocking them out. But they're blocking them out. They're doing the best they can. They're seeking that contact. Now, shallow questions are what avoiders ask, and they get shallow answers. But seekers, they get honesty, they get truth, they go deeper. And some of the questions they ask themselves are, why do I keep sabotaging my progress? And ask yourself that. Why do you keep sabotaging your progress? Or why are you not making the rapid progress that you could be making? What's holding you back? Do you know? Do you not know? Can you answer that question? Can you answer it with certainty? And if you do know that, what are you working on to advance that? Some people would say, well, this is too much personal for me. I'm not into my own ego or anything like that. Well, the better off you are, the more you can help others. The stronger you are, the more you can help others. The more resources you have, the more you can give away to others. So the better you are, the better off you can help other people. The next question is, what's the fear behind procrastination? You might not even realize that there are fears, and then there's the fear behind the fear. There is the benefit, and then there's the benefit behind the benefit. That's one thing I've learned with AI, is there's always usually a deeper something going on. And at the surface, if you're like, why can't I get this done? You just say procrastination. But then if you go deeper, well, why do I procrastinate? What's behind my procrastination? Is it rejection? Is it fear? What's going on here? And if you dig deeper, you'll feel that, because you'll figure that out, because procrastination is a surface level problem. It's not a deeper core issue there. The next one is, what story am I living from that isn't true? We all have a story we're telling ourselves, and we're living that out. Like for me, I was adopted when I was born. I could have had a whole different story, a whole different life if I was adopted by a different family, if I was kept intact with my birth family. I mean, I could have all kinds of different things. Now, would I have different beliefs? Would I be reinforcing those different beliefs now? Yes, absolutely. So your story is the story that you enforce, that you give life to, you give energy to. But your story can take turns. Like if you watch any good movie, there's plot twists, there's turns, there's twists, right? So your life story can do that too. It can take these changes and these twists and turns. And so many of us, it's like that wake in the boat, and I've talked about this before, and Wayne Dyer and others have talked about this too, where if you're in a boat and you see the wake behind the boat, is the wake driving the boat? And you'd say, no, it's not driving the boat. The steering wheel, that's driving it, right? The motor, all that. But so many of us look backwards at our life, and like the wake there, we think the wake is controlling us. We think our past is controlling us. But that's not true. And it's only true if you believe that and you continue to repeat that pattern over and over and over. And this is where real growth can take place, because that's why I created the Infinity Shift system, to help people like you to be able to recognize these patterns, see what's going on, how you get the progress you want and the breakthroughs, the insights. There are some prompts that when you go through them, you literally will just be like, holy moly, I had no idea about this myself. Or maybe you had some glimpses of it, but it just really put it all together in a full, complete package. So you're like, okay, now I have not just answers, but I have the ability to change this. I have the ability to move forward. But this is only for you if you're a seeker. If you're an avoider, this will make you uncomfortable. You're not going to want to get involved in this. But if you are a seeker, this is exactly dialed in for you. I made a little chart to show you a clear compare and contrast between an avoider and a seeker. So a seeker, they lean into discomfort. And remember, that's the only way you're going to have this real progress. You have to lean into your discomfort. Your discomfort is so much bigger than your comfort. And if you just stay stuck in your comfort, then you're never going to make the progress you need and you want. So you have to lean into your discomfort. Whereas an avoider, they avoid emotional exposure. They don't want to share their feelings. They don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to have these kind of touchy-feely things. Okay, that's just not them at all. Now, a seeker, they have their identity evolve. They're growing. They're making progress. They're getting better. And I think I've said that with myself, is I want to improve so much that it's hard for me to even recognize or believe, oh, that's who I used to be, right? Because I'm just growing, improving so much. But an avoider, they want to keep looping back into the familiar. Just stay in that small circle, stay in the familiar, don't get out into the unknown or the uncomfortable. And then a seeker, they build inner strength. They're someone that their inner strength is just growing and getting stronger in person. And you've ran into people that just, when you're around them, you're just like, dang, man, that person has it. It's the real deal, right? And you can tell the difference when it's fake. Now, on the other one, the avoider, they have the persona, the facade of everything's okay, but that's just on a shallow surface level. If you would go deeper into them, there'd be all kinds of turbulence and turmoil and questioning themselves and doubts. So now this is the part for you to ask yourself is, are you willing to face the moment? Are you dodging breakthroughs? Are you willing to be a seeker? Are you maybe someone who was a seeker, but you've kind of abandoned that? And are you running towards challenges, or are you managing them or running around them? Because in life, there's really just the two people. There's seekers who are seeking things out, they're going for it, and then there's avoiders who are avoiding it. If some of the things I brought up today, you're like, yeah, that's interesting, I want to know more about that, and you want to learn how to use personalized AI for you, attend my free live webinar on Saturday morning. It's at infinityshiftssystem.com/register. The link is in the description. And when you do that, there's no high pressure sales, nothing like that. It's just, if this is for you, great. If it isn't, that's fine too. But if you really want to have these breakthroughs, if you really want to become a seeker, or if you are a seeker and you want to become more of a seeker, then this is exactly for you. Because a lot of people will tell me, well, I have resistance. And resistance is the number one block to making progress. So if you want to make progress, improve, grow, resistance is it. Now, usually though, what people say is, well, I don't have the time. They say time is the issue. Or they say I don't have the money. They come with all these things. But truly, the number one thing is resistance. And you might be liking what I've said in this video, but then you, at some level, resistance. And you don't break out of that comfort zone or that circle of familiarity and go beyond that and step into personalized, customized AI. Because you can see how it works in this live free webinar. You can see what it does, no pressure. So many of us have gotten so comfortable and familiar with being an avoider, and this internal resistance, what it does is it really does not like discomfort, and it really does not want to have any type of identity change. So if you are feeling any kind of resistance, just know that's normal, that when you're trying to do something new or different, it's going to have that discomfort feeling and that identity change. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this video and liked it, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. All the best to you. Have a great day.